What is up, Insaners, and welcome to another video of the Fantasy Premier League 2021-22 season. The season is about to end, guys, and we're going all in. Now, today we'll be talking about the best free hit drafts for the double game week 36. We'll talk about the free hit 36 versus using the chip in 37 as well, guys, so that you can make an informed decision. Now, if you find today's video helpful, guys, make sure that you give it a thumbs up, and you can also subscribe to the channel as well. We are very close to the 1000 subscribers mark, guys, and help us get there. That'll be really awesome, and we really appreciate your support. Now let's start with why you should free hit in game week 36. Coming to the reasons in terms of why you should free hit in game week 36, the biggest double game week of the season, guys, is that there are multiple reasons behind it, to be very honest. Of course, the most obvious one is that, let's say if you have 2 free hits available, if you still have 2 free hits available, guys, this is the time to use it. You can't use both the free hits one after the other. Now by that I mean that, let's say if you use your first free hit chip in game week 36, the next one can't be used in 37. So if you're very set in terms of using it in 37, that could be a little bit tricky in terms of your options. So in that case, guys, you'll have to play one in 36 where there's still a lot of potential upside, and the other one you can play in a lottery terms in terms of game week 38. Now the next point, let's say if you just have one free hit available and you are planning to use it in game week 36. Now you can chase upside with the top teams, guys. You don't necessarily have to target teams like Everton, Leicester, Aston Villa, etc. You can actually go for teams like Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, and even Tottenham for that matter. Now I understand that teams like Chelsea, Liverpool, even Man City, they have something to play for apart from the Premier League, and we are expecting certain rotation, but let's face it, guys, they're still top teams, they have top players, they will be trying to go for wins in their remaining Premier League matches, and I think we should definitely target that. When you look at the team that I'm just talking about, Arsenal is still playing for top 4, Chelsea is also trying to cement their top 4 position. Now Liverpool and Man City, guys, they are in the fight for the title, and I'm pretty sure they'll be fighting it till the end. Even Tottenham, right? Tottenham are also still mathematically in that top 4 chase, and I think that'll be really interesting. So the whole point here is that, guys, you don't necessarily have to target differentials from maybe average to low performing teams. You can target all these top teams who have something to play for, and you can actually go for differentials from those teams. A lot of players like KDB, maybe even triple Liverpool attack, I think those will be a bit tricky in terms of people getting them with their regular transfers. And guys, you can get those moves done on a free hit. Now the third point is actually targeting differentials from the likes of Villa, Everton, Leicester, and even Watford for that matter. Now I know these teams aren't really that great. They're probably average teams in terms of what they're going to do in the double game week, maybe even games after that. But there are a couple of options that can help you set up a very strong team. To be honest, we have teams like Aston Villa and Leicester who don't really have a lot to play for, so we can really call them beach teams. Teams like Everton and Watford, they are in the relegation zone right now. I'm pretty sure Watford probably has just given up. Maybe they're not going to save themselves in this particular season, but I genuinely see Everton probably even winning games, maybe even at least trying to win games and doing well, and we can target a couple of differentials from the likes of Everton. Talking about the possibility of free hitting in 37, guys, let's say if you have one free hit available and you also have an option of playing that in 37. Now talking about using the free hit chip in game week 37, guys, I think a lot of people are going to use it in probably 36. So using it in 37 could be a differential in itself. I think from a practicality perspective, a lot of players, a lot of managers would be trying to target double game week teams, even the top teams, and those many fixtures on their free hit chip. Now guys, in terms of teams doubling in game week 37, you have the likes of Aston Villa, Burnley, Crystal Palace, Everton, and Leicester, for example, who are doubling. Again, they don't look like great teams. They don't have a lot of FPL options, or maybe great FPL options from the game perspective. And I think there is probably more upside in going for a free hit in game week 36. Now, another very important point to note here is that, guys, it also pretty much team dependent. Let's say if you already have a lot of players, maybe decent amount of players from the likes of Villa, Leicester, Burnley, and Everton, then in that case, guys, I don't think so you need to play it in 37. Then I think you probably are better off chasing the upside in game week 36. Overall, it pretty much depends on what your team is, what kind of players you already have, and you're probably targeting the potentials players list in your eyes, guys, that's really, really important to make that decision. With that, guys, let's move on to the first free hit draft for Game Week 36. Now, let's start with the goalkeepers and the defenders, guys. In terms of goalkeepers, guys, we've gone for Foster and Schmeichel. Now, Foster is a very cheap option, just has a secondary backup option who also has a double game week, but he's probably just there to save money. Coming to our main keeper, we have Schmeichel in goal, guys, and I think if we can guarantee anyone from the Leicester team who will probably end up playing both matches, as it could be Schmeichel. I agree that he's not playing for an elite defense. I think they're better defenders, they're better goalkeepers, they're better teams in terms of defenses that you can target. But I think Schmeichel is a pretty much safe option. I feel it's probably going to be a lot popular in terms of ownership. Leicester's double is pretty much appealing, guys. They're playing Everton and Norwich. Yes, Everton are fighting for their lives in the Premier League. So that's going to be a pretty attacking game, at least from an Everton perspective. And Norwich, again, they can spring a couple of surprises here and there. So that might not end up resulting in a clean sheet for the Leicester defense. But I just feel he's a safe option in terms of going for a Leicester player. Now you can absolutely go for an elite keeper. You can go for the likes of Edison, Alisson. But I just feel they're better options from the likes of Man City and Liverpool when we talk about an overall spread of players. Now what I mean to say here is that you can go for a double Man City defense, which might have a slightly more upside than going for somebody like an Edison, guys. Similarly, you can, rather than going for Alisson, you can actually go for a Trent, maybe even a double up with a Trent and a Robertson. If you can't afford Trent and Robertson, you can even go for somebody like a Matip, who's a very cheap option in that good Liverpool defense. Coming to other teams like Chelsea and Arsenal, guys, specifically Chelsea here, guys, there might be some rotation in terms of which Chelsea keeper is probably going to play both games. It might be Kepa for a single game, it might be Mendy for both games. We clearly don't know that, so probably it's not worth the risk. Plus, Chelsea have not been that great in terms of defense, guys. They have conceded a fair amount of chances. They are conceding goals. So again, there are better options that you can go for. Now, in terms of the defense, guys, we've gone for a double Man City defense in this particular draft. We've gone for the likes of Laporte and Cancelo. Now, I know that Man City are playing their midweek game against Real Madrid. That's a Champions League semi-final. That's a knockout game. Plus, they have two Premier League fixtures this week. One is on the 8th of May. That game is against Newcastle, guys. It's a home game for Man City. The other game is on 11th. That's against Wolves, and they travel to Wolves for that particular game. Now, there's not a lot of turnaround time between games, so we are expecting a certain amount of rotation for Man City here. We pretty much know that Man City are going to play a full strength squad against Real Madrid, and there might be certain rotation against the likes of Newcastle and Wolves. Now, what we've seen so far from Pep, guys, is that he generally tries to play the likes of Cancelo, the likes of Foden, maybe even Mahrez. I think Mahrez could be a tricky one because now Jesus is also in decent form. But we know that the likes of Kevin De Bruyne are definitely going to be rested. Maybe they will play slightly lesser minutes because of their match effort against probably a Madrid, for example. So there are chances of rotation there. And at the end of it, guys, we really don't know what Pep is going to play. He might go for a Diaz. He might go for Stones if he's fit. I think there are chances that the likes of Laporte can get rotated, but I'm pretty much confident that probably Cancelo is going to start both games. He's also the best attacking defender when we talk about that Man City defense, guys. He can give you attacking returns. He also has a habit of coming up among bonus points. So I think you should definitely have Cancelo, if not Laporte. Maybe if you want to take a chance, maybe go for someone like a Diaz, who might be a little bit more nailed at the moment. But I think the combination of Laporte and Cancelo is pretty good. Now, talking about the other defenders, guys, we've not gone for a Liverpool double up in defense because we've tried to invest a little bit more money in midfield. So we've only gone for Trent. I know in terms of performances, maybe specifically numbers, Robertson has been a slightly better defender. But again, Liverpool also have a lot of games coming up with that Champions League game, with the FA Cup final against Chelsea. So there are chances that the likes of Robertson can get rested, especially when he started the Champions League game midweek as well. That's the reason we've kind of gone for Trent here. We think Trent is slightly more important in terms of his position in the team. And there is Tsimikas who can come in for Robertson to give him that required rest. If you want to double up, guys, that's also an option. And we'll talk about the double up in our subsequent drafts. But for this one, guys, we've not invested very heavy in terms of that Liverpool double up in defense. And we've only gone for Trent. In terms of the other options, we have cash. Aston Villa have a decent double game week. Again, you can argue that they might not play that well. They might not be in it. There are 100 reasons that they don't have anything to play for and all of that stuff, guys. But I just feel if you are targeting the Aston Villa players, if you're targeting the Aston Villa defenders, I think cash is definitely the most standout option, as he's also pretty good in terms of attacking. He can put in balls, he can finish, he can shoot as well. There's probably even a goal in there somewhere. And I think if you are looking for a defender who's probably not from an elite, maybe from a premium team, I think Cash is the best option out there. To be honest, I don't really trust the Arsenal defense to probably keep clean sheets. Again, you can go for somebody like a White who's slightly cheaper than somebody like a Gabriel. But if you directly compare a Gabriel versus a Cash, I would always prefer Cash. Talking about the Tottenham team, Tottenham defense, I'm not very sure that they can keep a clean sheet. Both are very tricky games in the double game week 36, and there are not a lot of other defenders to choose from. Now, one particular team, one particular set of players that are missing from this defense are the Chelsea players, guys. Yes, you can argue that you can go for somebody like an Alonso who did really well in a recent double game week, but then we know that the Leeds game is very close to that FA Cup final against Liverpool, and we are all expecting heavy rotation in that particular game. So we might have to just reassess, reassign our expectations in terms of what we will get from those Chelsea players. I think it's a single game week from most Chelsea players, so that's why I've not gone for a Chelsea defender in this particular draft. But again, guys, if you want to go for one Chelsea defender, I think the slightly safer pick is Rudiger, but there's limited upside there. If you are chasing upside, if you are looking to gain rank, you can go for somebody like an Alonso, who I think will still be a huge differential in the game. A lot of people have already been burnt by the likes of James, guys. Yes, we know his potential, but the main issue with James is that start. There's a high chances that he can get rested. There are high chances that he gets limited minutes. There are chances that he can also play in that right centre back position to strain him a little bit less so that he can be ready for that FA Cup final against Liverpool. For all of these reasons, guys, we've gone for somebody like an Amati who's probably just going to be on the bench, who has a double game week. Again, we can argue that he probably won't play both games because of Leicester's European involvement as well. But at the end of it, guys, he's just there to make up the numbers. He's probably not going to come off because I'm expecting all of these four defenders to at least play one game. And I think Amati is probably just going to be on the bench. That also gives us an idea that we are playing a back four, guys, for this particular draft. Now, in terms of the midfield, we've gotten very heavy in terms of midfield, guys. Most of our money is invested in our midfield. Now, talking about a slightly cheaper options here, there is Saka, who's been in great form for Arsenal. He's the Arsenal's best attacker. I don't think so Arsenal are going to rest him, to be very fair, guys. And I don't think so they have a lot of options who can replace the explosivity of a Saka for their particular team. So I think he starts both games. I think the fixture is also pretty good. We have also seen that he's also on penalties now, guys. So everything is looking great for the likes of Saka, guys. And that's why I've chosen him ahead of the likes of Martinelli, Odegaard, who probably decent options. But again, somebody like an Odegaard won't give you consistent attacking returns. And with Martinelli, guys, specific to my team as well, I've been burnt by him so many times that I can probably not trust him at all in terms of minutes. Talking about a similar player in that price category, guys, we have Philippe Coutinho, who also has a double game week. It's a good double game week. I think Villa can score goals here. And I generally feel that Coutinho has been a bit unlucky in terms of returns. I think his underlying stats have been pretty decent. Over the past few weeks, yes, he's faced some tougher teams, but I think the fixtures are now turning for Aston Villa. And if you want to go a bit safer, I think it will be a safer move to go for somebody like a Coutinho because his ownership is probably going to be a little bit higher. So if you're trying to protect rank as well here, guys, I think Coutinho is a decent move to go for. I think he will start both games. Yes, he might not end up playing 19 both games, but I think there is potential for FPL points here, guys. I think you should definitely go for him. Coming to the premium options in this particular draft, guys, we have the likes of Salah, Kevin De Bruyne, and Son, which is an explosive trio for this particular draft. Now, the same thing like we talked about in terms of the Liverpool defense, guys, I think the likes of Salah and Kevin De Bruyne, they both can be rested or their minutes might be slightly managed in terms of the double game week. We spoke about how Liverpool and Man City, they have a lot of fixtures in a short span of time and there's not a lot of turnaround time for the players to be ready for the next fixture. We saw that Salah has already been rested. We saw that KDB didn't even feature against Leeds. So there are chances that they might get rested in one of the double game week games. But guys, I think they are heavy hitting players. They will get big scores in this double game week. I think a lot of people are going to captain KDB. Maybe the differential ones, maybe the ones who are trying to gain rank. They're going to go for somebody like a Kevin De Bruyne. And I think they're good options to have as an explosive double up in your FPL team. You can maximize that potential, guys. You can also go for a Son And I think not a lot of regular players, not a lot of regular managers would get to a KDB plus Salah plus a Son combinations with any amount of transfers. I think they will have to take down a lot of players. They'll have to play with the structure of the team to find these three set of players together. And the free hit in 36 guys, that gives you this advantage. I think Son is also a decent option. He's been playing really well. We've been betting against Son and he's been doing absolutely great, guys. And I think he's a good option to go for. Now, talking about our attack, and it's a very cheap attack in terms of our forwards, guys. We've gone for 2 duds in terms of our Leeds players who probably are going to have shared minutes, maybe very less minutes, but that's just there to protect and to make up the numbers, guys. I don't think so I'm going to play with them. I think it pretty much is a 4-5-1 formation where the likes of Nketiah is going to start in this team. I think Nketiah has shown a lot of promise in his earlier games. He's been playing really well. He's scored as well. And I think Arteta is probably going to give him a couple of more chances to feature in the Arsenal team and to help them finish in the top 4. I have a feeling that Lacazette is definitely leaving after the season, guys, and I think Arteta has a lot of confidence in Nketiah, and I think he's definitely going to start both games. Now, guys, this is the second draft that we have for this particular video. Now, in this particular draft, what we've done different here is that, guys, rather than a double Man City defense, guys, here we've attacked a little bit more by going for a double Man City attack. Now, as I said earlier that not a lot of people would be able to get the likes of Salah, Kevin De Bruyne and Son in one team with regular transfers without a chip. I think similar stuff can be said for the Man City double up in attack as well, guys. I don't think so a lot of people would be able to go to a De Bruyne and Foden. Yes, somebody can maybe downgrade a Son to a Foden, but I don't think so a lot of people would be doing that after Son's performance last week. Of course, you can argue the fixtures that KDB has better fixtures, and I think a lot of people who have the money might also do it, guys. But I think the combination of Kevin De Bruyne with Foden along with the Cancelo is a very promising one. In terms of our keepers, both keepers are the same. We've not really done a lot of different things in terms of defense as well, guys. So rather than a Man City double up in defense, we've not gone for Laporte here. We've gone for a Tsimikas who might play one game in this double game week. Yes, the chances are less, they're not very high, but again, Robertson can absolutely be rested. This is because he started in the Champions League games and the games are very close to each other. So maybe, just maybe, Tsimikas might start one, and there is haul potential in Tsimikas as well. In terms of the attack as well here, guys, we've slightly upgraded the second forward. We've gone for a Dennis who has a double game week. I personally don't expect him to score a lot of goals here and suddenly go berserk, but I just feel it's slightly safer than going for 2 dud players, especially when we are taking a bit of a risk in midfield and in defense. So this is the second draft here, guys. We've gone for a double up on Man City attack here instead of a double up in defense. I think this is slightly more attacking than the first one. I think there are high chances that Foden, even if he starts one game, he can outscore the likes of Laporte here, guys. So if you are chasing, if you're trying to gain more rank, I think this is the draft that you should go for. Now coming to the third draft, guys, and this is slightly different because we have retained not going for 2 Man City defenders. We've retained the likes of Kevin De Bruyne and Foden, but instead of going for 3 heavy hitting midfielders like Salah, De Bruyne and Son, guys, we've broken down Son, we've downgraded that amount, downgrade the player Son, and we've gotten Gordon, who's very, very cheap. And instead, guys, what we've done here is that we've gone for a Robertson plus Trent combination, and we've taken out Tsimikas. Now, in terms of the Liverpool triple up here, guys, we have the likes of Salah, Robertson, and Trent. I think that's a very strong combination. I don't think so it's a differential combination, to be very honest, guys, because a lot of players, a lot of managers would be possibly having this trio. So if you are protecting rank, if you are trying to consolidate your position, defend your lead in your mini leagues, I think this is the combination to go for. In terms of our defense overall, nothing more has changed here, guys. In terms of midfield also, as I said earlier, we've gone for Gordon, who has a double game week. I think he's also a significant player for the Everton team who will definitely give it their all to try to get away from that relegation, guys. They will try to stay in the Premier League. Yes, I know I would probably have preferred somebody like a Richarlison who's also on pens, but he of course comes at a different price and plays in a different position. In terms of attack here, guys, now it's very interesting that we've not gone for a second dud player. Of course, we retain Greenwood as a dud player from the earlier drafts. Now here, guys, because we have some slightly extra money because of the Son sale, we've gone for Watkins here instead. Now what that does is that it covers a Aston Villa attacker. Of course, we've not gone for a Coutinho because we didn't have money. Of course, Yes, we can downgrade a Foden to a Coutinho. That is a possibility, but I'm probably not going to do that, and I'm probably going to play the Aston Villa player in a different position. I think Watkins has been pretty much consistent in terms of starts. He's been playing well over the past couple of games, guys. There's always a possibility that he can get goals, and I think he's probably preferred in terms of which player to start, whether Ings or whether he. I think he has a higher possibility of starting games for Aston Villa. And I think if you're trying to go a bit differential in terms of forwards, guys, I think he's absolutely the option to go for. Now, personally, I won't recommend a Richarlison at this moment, guys. There are rumors, there are conversations. I'm not sure if it's confirmed yet, but there are chances that he can get banned maybe for 3 matches over what he did in the earlier game against Chelsea. So hold on to that Richarlison transfer. Instead, you can possibly have Watkins in your team right now. And if you feel that Everton are probably going to outscore the likes of Watkins, outscore the likes of Aston Villa, and Richarlison's probably okay playing, there's no ban against him. And of course, he's also on pens. We've seen that. So you can always go for him as well. And I can interchange between a Watkins and a Richarlison. But I think the strategy overall looks pretty sound. So with most of our free hit drafts, guys, you have the likes of Salah and Kevin De Bruyne, who are very good captaincy options here as well. Now again, if you can go for a defender, you can go for a Liverpool or a Cancelo maybe in terms of your differential captains as well, guys. But I still feel it's a very balanced team. It's a very balanced squad in terms of a free hit. You're not going all out in terms of differentials. You're not going all out in terms of playing very safe. I think it's a pretty good strategy overall. Now guys, these are our free hit drafts for Game Week 36. Do let me know if you are using your chip in 36 or 37 and what players are you targeting for your free hit team. So guys, that'll be all from my side. I hope I was able to give you some clarity in terms of a free hit team if you are using your free hit chip in Game Week 36. Do smash that like button if you enjoyed today's video, guys. Guys, also don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you Insaners next time.